Welcome back, everyone. Let's get back to the fun with something that truly connects us, and that's technology. It frees us while also keeping us safe. The finalist teams in our next category have come up with ways to better protect consumers, to better protect computers and networks from unauthorized access or destruction. They've unleashed powerful innovations laced with ingenuity, and it's time to take a closer look. Let's get started with our cyber technology and security category. First up is Team Crosscheck from Thomas Jefferson High School in Alexandria, Virginia, and Langley High School for Science and Technology in McLean, Virginia. Their invention, Crosscheck, an image recognition software based on deep learning neural network technology that will serve as an add-on to current image screening systems worldwide. So please welcome Crosscheck.
Okay, got it. All right. Thank you. Good afternoon and welcome to our presentation on Crosscheck Plus. I'm Philip Pan.
I'm Emily Ye.
And we hope that you'll enjoy our presentation. So quickly meet the team.
So since the September 11th terrorist attacks of 2001, the Transportation Security Administration has been forced to tighten security measures in airports. However, while this has led to increased costs and increased wait times, it has not actually led to better results, as most illicit materials still fail to be detected. Therefore, it has become necessary for us to develop an inexpensive and efficient solution that can detect hazardous materials effectively.
Thus, presented with the looming threats to global security, the Crosscheck team identified three main areas which all solutions must address. First, improved accuracy in regards to the actual detection of hazardous objects. Second, higher efficiency in regards to the necessary time and labor to detect those objects. And third and finally, lower costs for product viability. Based on extensive market research, the Crosscheck team was able to identify three key markets with a combined worth of $116 billion where we could potentially implement our solution, beginning with transportation, specifically airports and metro stations, which have proven to be susceptible to terrorist attacks in the past. Second, governments and schools, which often include high-profile individuals as well as adolescents, the future of the United States. Third and finally, attractions and commercials, which often have high population densities.
Introducing Crosscheck Plus, a deep machine learning neural network-based software which can be used to detect hazardous items in X-ray images of luggage. So how exactly does this work? We start with an X-ray image containing the outline of a handgun. Then we pass this through our modular software, which returns a result, the same image. However, now the hazardous items are highlighted in boxes of red. So how this works exactly is that every image can be converted into a matrix of RGB values, representing the colors of every pixel. So this matrix is then passed into a deep neural network where it undergoes layers of convolution where possible things that might indicate a threat are detected. For example, this could be a shape of a gun or the sharp blade of a knife. Then this returns a Boolean output of true or false, indicating whether or not a threat is present. So more information about these layers. The input layer would be the matrix that we obtain from the X-ray image. Then we pass it through convolutional layers where possible aspects that might indicate a threat are detected. Then we put it through pooling layers, which would reduce the size of this matrix so that the fully connected layer is not too strained. Then the fully connected layer returns a result, another matrix, which has the negative logarithm of probabilities that certain threats are present. These values are then used to calculate a Boolean result of true or false, indicating whether or not a threat is actually present.
So the training. So all this talk about background technology, do we actually have a functional prototype? Yes. So we trained our initial model over 20 epochs, so 20 complete data set turns, and we were able to end up with a final accuracy of approximately 95.2%. So this means that 95% of the time, our model was able to correctly and successfully identify the presence of a handgun within an X-ray image, showing the viability of our product and the necessity for our product in the security industry. Business model. So initially, we plan to fund our business through capital ventures as well as an initial coin offering. We hope that both of these peer-to-peer interactions will enable us to bypass the strict financial regulations imposed by banks. Secondly, we plan to target government sponsorships, specifically those provided by the Homeland Security, which would allow us to further increase our credibility within the security industry. Third and finally, and our ultimate goal is to obtain a TSA partnership such that we could obtain full nationwide and governmental sponsorship for our security product. Marketing analysis. We plan to reach out to private corporations over the next few months, including but not limited to Aegis security firms, KBR security firms, as well as a myriad of other different corporations, which would be able to allow us to do a real market test of our product. Furthermore, we plan to target at schools and reach out to TSA, again, going back to the government sponsorship point, which I mentioned earlier. And our final goal is for ultimately international outreach, such that we can actually make an impact to the safety and the lives of the international community. Budget and financials. So as you can see on the table to the left, we have a very steep initial cost. This is because of the GPU processing power which we need to purchase ourselves, as well as the different association factors in regards to obtaining data for the training of our model. So however, our growth does increase exponentially over the projected next 5 years because of the fact that as our market share increases, we also expect our profits to keep up with that increase as well, showing the exponential trend and ultimately $1 million by the year 2021. So competition. As of right now, we have two main competitors, Smiths Detection and Rapiscan. While both of these companies are already established with the TSA, they have many areas of improvement. Currently, both of these companies market their security infrastructure as both hardware and software. However, CrossCheck Plus is software only. Thus, we are modular in the sense that we can add on to existing security infrastructure, reducing the necessary cost for implementation drastically. So to summarize the advantages of CrossCheck Plus, we are not only modular, accurate, efficient, and accessible, but we fill in the gap for private corporations who may not be able to afford a complete infrastructure overturn, thus providing a key feature for security across the world. In the future, we plan to use funds from this competition or other private investments for continued market testing and refinement of our model, obtaining data from private corporations to train our model. Finally, if we can achieve global expansion, we plan on launching an international public offering to increase our global reputation. Thank you, and we will now take any questions.
Thank you. That was very thorough. My only question is, you know, it's a pretty aggressive partnership plan for students of your age. Talk a little bit about, you know, your team and how maybe you're going to expand.
Right. Thank you for that question. So our entire team is from Thomas Jefferson High School, and we've been working with our lab directors there to focus on an approach to such a computer systems-based approach to a global issue. And we plan on really improving credibility through market demonstrations at first. So we plan to reach out to more summits, more innovation competitions, and just generally gather that credibility throughout the public community for a product in the first stages. And using this credibility, we plan on finding initial corporations who would be willing to allow us to show them the effectiveness of CrossCheck Plus. And hopefully through that gradual buildup of credibility and influence within the security community, we plan on finally attaining the partnerships which we hope for with TSA.
Thank you for that.
Well, the really good news, guys, is that I'm from McLean. So I'm not going to hold the TJ thing against it, except a lot of friends have kids at TJ. So the bad news, however, is that I own a piece of a software firm that does some of this kind of thing. So here's the question I need to ask you. You're dealing with some human beings that are not as smart as you are, and you're dealing with adding on to systems. Can you talk about how easy this is or how hard it is? Is this plug and play? If it isn't, what exactly do you do to introduce it to the system? And also, how do people interact with it? You're not necessarily going to deal with smart guys like you, okay? Thanks.
Thank you for that question. So, yeah, that's actually a great point to bring up. And I think that CrossCheck as a business, it's not just about the product, but also the process behind it too. So any step that we take to implement CrossCheck Plus within actual security firms would also accompany a lot of training. So while we're not going to necessarily explain all the convolutional neural networks behind this product, we would also like to demonstrate how this works in front of the actual systems which it would be implemented in the first place. So we would explain the overlaying features of Crosscheck Plus. So it would be superimposed over an existing X-ray image scan, and it would be able to identify clearly for the user where potential objects of hazard might be located. And based upon the red boxing, which we showed in the previous slides, the user would have a clear image of whether or not there is actually a presence of an illegal item, and from there they would able to use their self-judgment to determine whether or not further action should be taken.
Very good, thank you. Not really, keep going.
So you kind of answered the question I had before, but I think I'm looking at the same thing he is how does this integrate with the current X-ray machine? Is it a software that's going to be added to that? Is it some other unit they have to add to it, or will they have to completely get rid of their current X-ray machines and buy something new?
Okay, thank you. So that's actually the main key feature of Crosscheck. There is no upheaval of existing infrastructure necessary for a product to be implemented. So it would actually take the existing X-ray images produced by the X-ray systems already implemented in airports, for example, and it would use the software to look at those images directly. So it would serve as an add-on feature to the current systems themselves. So there's no necessity for us to completely get rid of the X-ray systems in airports, but rather just merely purchase a copy of Crosscheck Plus such that it would be able to detect from the images provided by the X-ray systems existing already.
So one of the issues with a lot of these deep learning systems, especially image recognition right now, is the ability to adversarially attack them, right? So maybe you've seen that some of the sort of self-driving cars, you can put a sticker on a stop sign and turn it into a yield sign, or a sticker on a yield sign and turn it into a stop sign. And trained methods have that fundamental difficulty right now. So can you say something about the accuracy of your method and potentially the robustness with respect to someone putting something else in their luggage that might make a car or a gun look like a banana, or some other way of changing things?
Right, that's an excellent question. So the way that Crosscheck Plus accounts for that is, although we shoot, our ultimate goal is to reduce the amount of human labor necessary, we still implement a supervised training model. So this means that if a human will also be looking at the images provided through the scans of Crosscheck Plus, and if it notices that, for example, banana is present within the baggage and not rather a gun, it would be able to provide feedback to the system itself such that it can auto-adjust its learning rate to incorporate the fact that this image does not necessarily correspond to the features of a gun within the luggage. So there will always be that human judgment part that will help the model train in its initial stages and hopefully develop the robustness necessary to provide comprehensive global security.
And just to add on to that, of course, what we have right now is still a prototype, and we are still working to further increase the accuracy, so that is definitely something we will look into. Thank you.
So it looks like I got time for one more question. I don't remember hearing if there was a patent or if this is patentable, do you think?
Okay, so we're actually in the process of patenting this technology, and we really hope that, again, like software like this is completely based on proprietary ownership, and we really hope that we'll be able to obtain that patent in the future for our technology. However, at the same time, right now we're really focusing on getting out our market share and making our name known within the security industry such that we'll be able to provide services for image detection in regards to security in the future. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Crosscheck. Our second team is Guns N' Roses from Irving, Texas, with students from Plano West Senior High School, Liberty High School, and Jasper High School. Their innovation, Secure Gun, is a smart semi-automatic rifle that is designed to predict and prevent mass shootings. Please welcome Guns N' Roses.
Good afternoon, respected judges and honorable guests. I'm Aman Jaffer.
I'm Salwa Shahid.
I'm Ariba Kazi.
I'm Rayan Punjani.
I'm Amina Saida, and we are Team Guns N' Roses. This is a typical scenario of a school mass shooting. How many of you would want the shooter's gun to stop working at this moment?
shooting on the Las Vegas Strip. It's the deadliest mass shooting in modern United States history.
The gunman who opened fire inside a packed nightclub.
A gunman opening fire during a service. This mass shooting. Mass shooting.
Shootings. Mass shootings.
Since 2013, there has been 1,600 mass shootings, 2,500 deaths, and only 1,900 days, meaning there has been one mass shooting and 2 deaths nearly every day. Since 1982, mass shootings have been at an upward trend.
As Amina mentioned, there is no end to mass shootings, so we have taken it upon ourselves to solve this problem. Introducing our innovation, the Secure Gun, a smart semi-automatic rifle that is designed to predict and prevent mass shootings. Now, let's take a closer look at how our innovation works. Here we have the GPS. It determines the location of the gun and evaluates whether or not it's in a gun-safe area. If the gun is located in a gun-safe area, it will automatically be locked from shooting.
Next, we have the camera, which uses an artificially intelligent algorithm to differentiate between humans, animals, and objects of interest. If the gun is being pointed towards a human, it will automatically lock itself. However, if the gun is being pointed towards an animal or a target, it will be allowed to shoot at its normal firing rate. Additionally, for self-defense purposes, the gun will be allowed to shoot whenever it's being pointed at an armed person.
We have added a stepper motor to the safety lock of the gun, which depending on the situation, will lock or unlock the gun.
Here we have the logical presentation for the decision-making of the Secure Gun, in which the gun evaluates its situation and makes a decision accordingly.
From now on, all semi-automatic rifles will become secure guns. So what are we going to do with already existing guns? We have designed a retrofit that will convert all semi-automatic rifles into secure guns.
We have also designed a tamper-proof mechanism that uses 3 steps. First, the circuit is broken, thus activating the GPS and GSM modules, which notify authorities of the exact location of the secure gun. We have also filed a patent for both the retrofit and the secure gun.
Every product in the market has its competitors. Let's take a look at the competition for the Secure Gun. As you can see, the Secure Gun is the only gun that knows its location, can see what it's shooting at, and has a tamper-proof mechanism which allows it to alert authorities. Here's a testimony from Sohaib Qureshi, a survivor of the Parkland school shooting.
As a survivor of the Stoneman Douglas shooting, I really feel like this amazing innovation should have been implemented earlier. If it was there earlier, it could have saved my classmates and my friends' lives, and we wouldn't have had to go through this tragedy.
Let's take a look at the market of the secure gun. We have 2 market segments, the new production market and the retrofit market. When added up, we predict that our market will approximate to nearly 1 million secure guns every year for the next 10 years. This graph shows how our market production will move over the next 10 years.
We have come up with a 5-dimension strategy to get secure gun acceptable by various stakeholders. First, federal government. We will pursue a regulation in favor of more responsible gun ownership. Second, state and local government. We will work with big states such as California and New York with the public opinion in favor of more restricted gun control to use secure gun. As success shows, other states will follow. Third, social media. We will use social media to make a strong public voice in favor of the secure gun. Fourth, the dealer association. We will collaborate with dealers in order to implement secure gun. Fifth, manufacturers. We will work with manufacturers to include the secure gun module.
Let's talk money. As you know, we have 2 market segments. We plan on selling around 4 million new guns within the next 10 years for a price of $175 each, and 6 million retrofit modules for $260 each. This adds up to our total revenue of $2.25 billion. And since we plan on licensing our innovation at a 5% royalty, this means we will get $113 million in our pockets. And this is a graph representing the projected revenue for the next 10 years.
We have evaluated 3 separate options for implementation. Option 1, partner with venture capitalists. Option 2, license with manufacturers. And option 3, partner with manufacturers. However, we are not experts in both option 1 and option 3. Thus, we opted to work alongside with option 2, which again is to license with manufacturers. Mass shootings are not a yearly, monthly, or weekly problem. In the United States, it's a daily problem. Thus, we need the help of experts and investors sitting in this room today. And simply implementing our secure gun will save thousands of lives, eradicating mass shootings from schools, malls, concert halls, and many more. Thank you.
I want to congratulate you for taking on this very timely and very difficult problem.
Thank you so much.
And wish you well in trying to solve that. But I have two questions for you, and I'll let you take them in whatever order you like. First, how do you force this on the market? Because you're not going to get 100% volunteer acceptance of it. So you have to force it across the market to make it real. And second, how do you address the illegal gun problem, right? So most of these mass shootings aren't with legally purchased weapons. Most of them are with illegally purchased weapons, outside the black market, that sort of thing. So how do you solve that problem as well?
I'm going to answer that question. So your first question about how are we going to implement our secure gun into the market. So as mentioned before, our 5-dimension strategy. So the federal government, state government, dealers, manufacturers, social media. So to enforce it, we would like to have a combination of all 5, a combination of 3, combination of 2, or even singularly, they will work perfectly fine. Because if you, for example, take into the federal government, once it is enacted into the law, logically, as laws have shown throughout the years, that when something bad crime is being criminalized, it becomes decreased. And then onto the aspect of the legality of mass shootings and the guns that were used, majority of mass shootings, guns have actually been legally obtained, not illegally obtained. And so what we are trying to do is take those legally obtained guns and implement our retrofit that we mentioned before, the design, so that we can eradicate mass shootings from all forms of public areas.
Yeah, again, thank you guys for the good presentation. Looking at it from a technical point of view, I get where you're coming from about that. But again, I think it's following up on the question to start off with is if I'm an investor, I'm having pains trying to figure out how that's going to work when you're saying, hey, change the federal government. From a technical point of view, I love the product. I see where it's coming from. But from a practicality point of view and as an investor on this side, I have qualms about where I would be able to see that return on investment coming from. What would be the driving force? The federal government right now, we could get into politics, which we won't, but to be able to see how that's going to be something that's going to be a return on investment in a time frame that's going to be acceptable to me would be very, very difficult. And this is, I'm preaching to the choir here. I know what you guys have already talked about that. I would have liked to have seen a little bit more about that direct answer or the direct question to that answer a little bit more fleshed out in there, because that is an incredibly hard piece. How do you get the federal government to enact something that makes sense? It just doesn't work that way. And one other question, again, great presentation, I'll leave you with this, and it's about the tamper-proof part. If someone does go rogue or someone goes out there, when you say the tamper-proof, you say, well, there's a GPS, I'll let the authorities. That also comes back to the point that the law basically says that, okay, it has to be against the law for me to tamper with this product which I bought as an aftermarket. So there's a little bit of a flaw there. I would have liked to have seen a little bit more of an articulation about how that piece is going to work. So really not a question, more of a statement. I'm going to leave this out to the next gentleman, but thank you very much for what you guys have brought to the table. Appreciate it.
Okay, so I'm going to ask mine as a question then. So what happens when the battery dies, and is this a fail on or a fail off mechanism? And can you speak to what you think the NRA is going to think about whatever decision you have there?
Okay, I'll take the NRA question.
Wow.
So about the battery life dying. So we have a battery for the gun, and once that battery life drains out, we have a backup battery, which works specifically for the GPS and GSM modules. And so if someone tries to tamper with the gun while it's dead, then that battery is going to be activated, and it's going to activate the GPS and GSM modules, which is going to alert the authorities. And this backup battery has a life of around 10 years, so thank you.
Right, so the topic about the NRA, how they would accept it. We are actually not, NRA is a private organization. And so in order to convince them, we actually innovated a solution that is universal, that can be accepted by everyone and every individual, because we are not limiting your right to own a gun. We are not limiting your right to protect yourself, himself, her property, and whatnot. And so what we are actually doing is giving an incentive. This is solving a scenario of mass shootings. And if I may address the entire audience, this problem is extremely prevalent in the United States and in many countries also. And so what we here are doing is providing a universal solution that can be accepted from many different stakeholders, many different political views, and many different organizations.
So I'm not going to go for the political question. I'm going to ask a technical question. GPS and GSM can be overcome with aluminum foil, and a camera can be overcome with a picture of a rabbit or an animal. Can you talk a little bit about the tamper-proof piece to the question of whether you're going to fail on or fail off? Because it's very difficult to make something like this infinitely tamper-proof.
I'll take up camera. Does anyone else want to take up the other portion?
So, what we did was for the tamper-proof technology, we enabled a bolt and nut system, and once the bolt and nut are separated, then the circuit is broken, thus activating the backup battery. And then the GPS and GSM modules will immediately alert the authorities. They will not have time to put an aluminum foil or whatnot on the.
And to add on to that answer, so say they do something like that. I know this might sound a little crazy, but as the last resort option, what we plan on doing is inserting sort of a self-destruct mechanism, not gonna blow up the gun, but just enough to disable the gun so that the person can't use it. So if the gun knows that it's being jammed, right, so the system completely isn't working, then it's going to alert the person that, if you don't stop jamming the gun or put aluminum foil on it, then the gun's going to self-destruct within 2 minutes, so they have that time to take off the aluminum foil, and if they don't, then the gun's going to be disabled and they won't be able to use it for a mass shooting.
Addressing the camera portion, we have actually used an image processing algorithm that analyzes 3D objects. And so even if you do hold up a picture, the gun would recognize that it is a 2D object that is being shown. Our prototype sitting right there, it has actually 98% accuracy, 98% accuracy. And so what we have done is fed 100,000 images of 3D also images, 2D and 3D, so that it differentiates between crowds, humans, animals, and any other normal objects.
Thank you, Guns N' Roses. As a friendly reminder to our presenters, please stand in front of the green X's on stage just for lighting purposes for our live stream. Our next team is Helpa from St. Aidan's Anglican Girls' School in Brisbane, Australia. Their innovation, Helpa, is a social enterprise focused on connecting the homeless population with job opportunities. Please welcome Helpa.
On any given night, 1 in 200 Australians are homeless. That's over 100,000 people nationwide, and figures have tripled since 2014. Hi, I'm Alex.
I'm Gabby.
And I'm Anouk.
And today we're here to present our world-changing app, Helpa. Helpa is an app developed to connect the homeless population to nearby employees, allowing them to reconnect to society, utilizing their skills from past careers, and get back up on their feet. We want to try and abolish homelessness through the use of a mobile app.
30 years ago, Tony McEwen Watson returned home from the war, coming home to find that his father had passed away. Left with nothing, he was homeless for about 6 months before meeting Mary Preston. Her dog would constantly run away while she was at work, and he would return it to her each evening, sacrificing the little food he had to feed it.
Mary recognized his kindness, and they soon became friends. Later, she offered him a room in her house to lodge in for a small weekly fee, which turned into a mutually beneficial relationship. Today marks the 30th year of Tony moving in. Mary Preston is my grandmother, and Tony now part of my family, and this has been the main source of inspiration for creating our app.
We want to give these people a chance to reconnect with their community and improve their confidence and mental well-being. Depression and anxiety are leading issues in the homeless population. We know that allowing them to reconnect with their society will improve with their mental well-being. Those in need of financial aid are often hesitant to seek help. We know that allowing the homeless an opportunity to work in a safe environment will allow them the path back to success.
This graph clearly shows the causes versus effects in homelessness in Australia, the myths versus realities of what our society holds. It is clear to see that the majority of our society believes uncivil influences such as alcohol and drug abuse are the leading causes. However, this is not the case. In fact, lack of affordable housing, loss of job, and family violence are actually the most common triggers. In our app, we want to try and educate the public and break down these prejudices and stereotypes that we hold.
We want our app to be available across both iOS and Android platforms, targeting the homeless and employees. We need our app to be both energy and data efficient, as it can be a challenge for the homeless to find free charging ports and Wi-Fi. As our app gains popularity, we aim to introduce a desktop version for added flexibility.
The University of Sydney shows that, in fact, 95% of the homeless own a mobile phone. Now, these figures may come as surprising. However, with two very different demographics, the ownership of a mobile phone is the one common denominator connecting the two groups. We actually went out and surveyed a homeless population, and this also corroborated with our evidence.
Upon installation, the users are prompted to register or log in. If unsure, they can read more information about our app and our mission. Basic profile information will be collected in a database and displayed for a more personal experience. Our homepage include a GPS map of jobs nearby, messaging, and an activity feed. Employees have a similar interface where they can submit a new job, and we've also included a messaging page for the workers and employees to enable trust.
Helper encourages forming new relationships, which differentiates us from our immediate competitors. There are several apps on the market that aim to help the homeless. However, these provide short-term needs, are not educating the public or raising awareness about this issue. We believe a more effective solution will be for the homeless to rebuild their connections in their society. Airtasker has similar features in their app. However, we're aiming for people who want to give back to their community, meaning we are aiming for a different demographic.
To begin with, there will be a budget of approximately $30,000. This will go into developing and marketing our app. We want to connect with like-minded charities for financial and public support. We aim to advertise through social media, word of mouth, and through socially aware target markets such as The Big Issue, a homeless magazine sold by the homeless.
Helper will grow in 3 stages. Firstly, targeting densely populated homeless areas in Brisbane. Secondly, expanding to include all of Brisbane. And thirdly, expanding to all the capital cities in Australia. Depending on our success, we will expand internationally.
To begin, our app will cost approximately $5,000 to $8,000 to outsource using basic programming. Crowdfunding is an option, however, we ask for your support as professional development leads our budget to approximately $30,000, which includes marketing and development costs. To produce profit, we want to sell merchandise, show advertisements within our app, and market for donations.
Our future steps in developing Helper entail an expansion of our app, having a fully functional product to support users, and connecting databases between users. We also want to acquire business partnerships and hit at least 10,000 users by our first 2 years of running.
Thank you for listening, and we'll take any questions now.
Congratulations and welcome to the U.S.
Thank you.
I have been seeing more apps like this come through idea competitions. So there's clearly a great market interest in a lot of people doing this kind of work. So my first question is, given how talented you are and given the kind of app you're looking to do, is there a way to partner with a development firm to get your development done?
Yeah, so since we're only young, we don't know how to properly code an app this complicated yet. But we're hoping, we've done prototypes that are simple applications on Android devices. However, we want to partner with technology companies and other charity companies and seek sort of financial support in developing this product.
There are also a lot of companies in Brisbane who work with the homeless, such as Rosie's Wesley Mission, a new one called Orange Sky, who we have pitched to, and they said, look, the app sounds interesting, and they'd be interested in working with us in the future.
Great. So as I'm hearing you, what keeps coming through my mind is all of the potential partnerships to achieve what you're trying to do. So you may want to think more broadly. There may be even people in this room capable of coding what you need to do, probably by the time you leave.
And we invite any of those people to come forward because we'd love to talk to you.
And I also, just a little FYI, I've seen a product similar to this with people trying to do mental illness services. And I'm sure that's the kind of company that if they built their app would partner with you. So there's lots of ways to expand this through partnerships.
Yes,
Thank you.
definitely.
And now comes the grumpy old man. First of all, welcome and thank you for coming from so far away.
It's a pleasure.
One of the things I wanted to say generically to everybody who comes up here is that there's nothing like when cyber runs into politics or cyber runs into a society, and it's often hard to make that leap. While you may have the technology available, it is hard. Having a friend of mine who's involved with some things in Washington, it is hard to get people off the street. Sometimes it's a lifestyle they enjoy, in fact, and that's a hard thing to overcome. On the other hand, to your product itself, again, back to the marketing aspect of it, can you just run through with me again, who do you think your target market is at this point? That didn't altogether come clear to me. Is it government? Is it individuals? If it is individuals, how so?
So we have two different demographics we want to target, the homeless and just the general public. With the general public, we're going to target people who don't necessarily have the finances to pay for professional people to come in and do the work, do the labor for them. This is an alternative to them, and then since we're not just accepting financial payment, like we're accepting material needs such as clothes, food as sources of payment, it's a lot better financially.
We also want to target those who feel like they do want to do some charity work, but maybe they don't know how or they don't have the time. And we want to try and connect these two groups and so that they can really understand each other as well and sort of build up relationships and kind of get at the roots of why so many people are on the streets.
This may be a silly question, but if the people are homeless, how are they going to use the app?
So,
this is our favorite question.
Yeah, like we covered before, the University of Sydney actually ran a massive survey which collaborates with a whole other load of statistics in America and Australia. And 95% of the homeless population own a mobile phone. They use it very heavily to rely upon using Wi-Fi and charging stations. And it's really a key to them sort of being able to stay safe. So,
yeah, and the way they access this app is going to, we have a place in Brisbane called Injapilli, and that's where they can access their free Wi-Fi, free charging ports for their phones, and that's how our app becomes accessible to the public.
Gotcha. Thank you.
So building on that, it's clear that many homeless are homeless for many, many different reasons, and it's not always financial. It's many different mental and/or societal reasons. So I can understand how they could use this, but do you think they would use this, given the fact that it opens the opportunity for people to be tracked? It sort of puts them as a dot on a map, and I think that might be a negative in many contexts.
So with that, we want to try and build up a safe place for them to utilize their skills from their past careers so that they don't feel like they are a burden on society. Because by enabling them to work for themselves and earn their own money, they can actually feel like they do have something to contribute. And we went to a homeless breakfast and we surveyed about 60.
It was 80 people.
80
who
people
were at this lunch held by a company in Australia called Rosie's, which is run by Wesley Mission. I don't know whether you
And
have that in
yeah.
And there was 80 people there, and we surveyed them, and I think 76 said that they would find this app useful and that they would use it if it ever came out.
Although there are, of course, the homeless who do choose to be homeless. However, that's sort of another issue in itself.
Okay, I think this is the final question. So have you guys thought about liability at all? So who's, if something happens with one of these meetups, and is there, I don't know, just tell me what you've thought about this.
So obviously safety is an issue because with sort of public connections, that is a major issue. In later stages of the app, we want to sort of introduce security features such as a safety button. So if someone is feeling or is in a situation where they're uncomfortable or feeling as if they're unsafe, they can contact the securities directly and go from there.
Obviously, that could also be an issue with Airtasker as well. So we are probably going to conduct more research into how they have accounted for that as well.
Thank you, Team Helpa. Again, a friendly reminder to our presenters, we want to make sure that you show up on our live stream, so please stand on the X's on stage. Next to the stage is Team Al-Hakim from Leadership Prep School and Frisco High School in Frisco, Texas. Their innovation alcohol driver detection system is a system to prevent intoxicated driving. Please welcome Team Al-Hakim.
PowerPoint's technical difficulties. Where's the PowerPoint? So how's your day been?
Frisco.
Okay, tell me where Frisco is.
It's in Texas, and
Next question.
You can go ahead and click it should start your presentation. There you go.
good afternoon, everybody. I'm Zishan Malik.
I'm Najib Rafiq. And I'm Ahmed Mashoud. And we're Team Al Hakim.
Imagine this scenario. Two people are walking outside of a bar, quite drunk, and they need a way to get home.
That was a pretty good party. I think I got ahead of myself there. Let's go home.
Are you sure? We could get in trouble or worse.
No, it's fine. It's only like 2 miles away. I got this.
All right. Eyes on the road, eyes on the road.
What road?
Eyes on the road. Watch out for the truck.
Oh no!
Death is devastating. It could be a child, a family member, a loved one, or a friend. These situations are unfortunately too common in our society, with there being 28 people in the United States dying every single day due to alcohol-impaired drivers. Additionally, the annual cost brought by drunk driving crashes in the United States is over $44 billion. Furthermore, 35% of people that are killed on the roads are alcohol impaired.
This graph here shows a survey conducted by the CDC. It shows that in 2014 alone, there were 111 million self-reported drunk driving cases.
Current systems on the market, such as LifeSafer, use a breathalyzer to lock the ignition system. This system can be easily bypassed and is only meant for repeat DUI offenders. Therefore, there are no effective systems in place for preventing DUI.
So, to solve this monumental problem, we have innovated the Alcohol Driver Detection System, or ADS.
So what is ADS? ADS is a system installed in automobiles that detects real-time alcohol levels in the driver and has a security system in place to prevent drunk driving. ADS is composed of two parts, the detection system and the security system. In that detection system, we have two sensors, the biochemical sensor and the infrared sensor. They're conveniently placed around the steering wheel. The biochemical sensor will detect ethanol through the driver's sweat from direct skin contact. We'll have gold ultrasensing electrodes, and we have a small current that will be used to detect ethanol from a range of 0.001 to 100 micrograms per liter. And these electrodes are embedded in Teflon.
The output readings will be displayed on an LED monitor, and a computerized algorithm will be integrated into the system, which will activate the security system if the driver is over the permissible limits of alcohol.
So you may be asking, what if the driver is wearing gloves and blocking the biochemical sensor? So to solve that problem, we integrated an infrared sensor into our system. The infrared sensor will detect blood alcohol levels in the driver's sweat through clothing and using distance spectrometry. The output readings will be displayed on an LED monitor, and a computerized algorithm will be integrated into this system and activate the security system if the driver has been guaranteed to be above the legal limits of alcohol.
The second component of ADS is the security system, which is composed of the command system and the GPS locator. The command system will be only activated if the driver is deemed above the legal limit of alcohol. The driver will be given 2 quick warnings to stop their vehicle. Failure to comply will activate the GPS locator. The first warning is,
alcohol levels detected are higher than the legal limit. Please pull over and stop the vehicle.
and the second warning is,
This is your final warning prior to calling 911. Please pull over and stop the vehicle.
The GPS locator will notify the authorities of the exact location of the vehicle. This will alert the police of the vehicle's location, and it will prevent an accident from occurring. The GPS locator will only be activated if the driver ignores the warnings, thus protecting the driver's privacy.
So why choose ads? Well, current systems on the market are not as effective as their intended purpose. Also, ads has a unique technology to detect ethanol through clothing. Additionally, ads can also detect real-time alcohol levels in the driver if the driver chooses to drink while they drive. And lastly, ads is designed to be extremely user-friendly as the process is completely automatic.
so how will we implement ads? To implement ads, we will be using government agencies, auto manufacturers, and vehicle inspection facilities. We will install ads into new and pre-existing vehicles, and we will develop, test, and integrate the GPS locator system with ample security measures and data encryption. We will also lobby local and state legislators for effective laws to be passed.
So how much will ads cost? This table here shows a detailed cost breakup of our entire project.
And we conclude that we detect that the cost for 25,000 units will be a little bit over $1 million, or meaning that one system will be around $45.
And obviously, this is just an estimate of our cost breakup.
So how will we fund ads? These are some of the agencies that we have already contacted, and they've been extremely supportive of our innovation. And these are some of our potential funding sources.
So our plan is to implement ads into all automobiles on the roads, including two-wheelers such as motorcycles. Our timeline is to complete patent finalization by the end of this year, and our goal is to install ads into all vehicles by 2021. So let's go back to the original scenario at the beginning and see how ads changes it.
No, it's fine, man. I got this.
Are you sure?
The warnings we're supposed to play, but I guess.
I think we should have, innovated something to help PowerPoint instead.
So.
Gentlemen, thank you very much. I love it. This is obviously a very, very difficult topic that definitely needs to be addressed. But a couple of things. I like the technical presentation. As an investor, I'm curious, though, how this is going to work, because, again, it gets back to the point, what's the driving force? Personally, why would I want to have this installed in my car? I don't know. That's something, maybe it's more rhetorical, but unless there's some kind of regulatory or legal aspect that says I need to have this in there, I'm not sure why I want this in there. Okay, yeah, well, that 1% chance that I'm actually like, okay, I know that I've had too many, but it's very, very difficult for me to think that I'm going to be able to pay money to have this in there when I know, like, hey, look, I already know that I'm going to have a few, and I'm already planning on pre-handing that I'm not going to be driving my car home. So this is a very small sliver of time opportunity that you guys have for that. So as an end user, why would I be buying it? And why, as an investor, why would I be putting money into this? And I think that is something I would have liked to have seen articulated a little bit more into the presentation about what's that carrot, what's going to be that sales. I like how you guys had the technical presentation. I like how you guys had the investor pitch, all that. It's just what's that carrot, what's that driving force? And my one question I would have is the technology that you said that you're able to absorb through the clothing, does that exist? Is that a prototype? Is that an idea? Is that a concept? And then what, if you can talk through some of the different scenarios you have against for false positives and how that worked, because that's obviously another whole can of worms, as we say. Thank you. Great presentation. Loved it.
Thank you.
Well, I can answer that technology question. In our presentation, we have a couple of resources that we kind of skip past because of time. But if you have access to that PowerPoint, those are published research papers that were published online, and they've proven that this technology exists, and we're just implementing that onto the road so that way drivers can be safe.
And addressing the first question about why would you implement this, well, understanding how important this is and how many lives that we can save with our product, it's important, and we have already started to approach government and federal agencies to talk about how implementing this would be good for both the consumers and for society as a whole, as it is saving lives. We have shown that how implementing this is very important to how the society would run, and understanding how people would say it would get in trouble. People would get in trouble with this. It is very important to that if a person is has been shown to be underneath the presence of alcohol, they, with our system, if they start driving, the police is not immediately called, and they are not there. They have the opportunity to be able to pull over, stop their vehicle, and like not get in trouble if they listen to the warnings, because if they do not listen to the warnings, they're a public hazard to everybody around them because they can cause extreme injury or even death. And so if they have people, if they have this system that could help stop them, and if they listen to it, they don't get in trouble with their with driving under the influence, it would be beneficial for both the pedestrians and the drivers. Thank you for the question.
And to add on to that question, 28 people die every day due to drunk driving, as stated before. So I feel like the government will, like, approach this with, like, an open mind, because, like, we're saving lives. It's one of those big, things.
Again, I want to congratulate you as well for taking on a very big social issue as some young high schoolers. But I think one of the big challenges is going to be, just like the previous one with the Guns N' Roses, getting the public to buy into it. Even if you get some political backing, to get everybody to purchase this product, there's probably gonna have to be some laws in place. And we saw how well that went over with Obamacare, which is another big social issue. Forcing people to buy a product is gonna be challenging. I didn't catch the unit cost in the presentation, so I was curious how much is it gonna cost, and who's gonna bear that cost of acquisition and installation?
We estimated that it would be around $45. Of course, that can change because these are all estimates as of right now. But yeah, this is what we have currently, and we're still developing on it. We're still researching and stuff like that.
Okay, cool, thanks.
Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you, Team Al Hakim. Our fifth team is Verse from Christopher Columbus High School in Miami, Florida. Their innovation Verse Sync is a video aggregation system allowing for seamless footage and audio syncing from a near limitless number of external cameras. Please welcome Verse.
I'll get it once we get up there.
So yeah, we need the table for like around there.
You're good?
Yeah.
You got the clicker?
Hi, so today we're going to be showing you an amazing product. However, before we do so, I'd like to give you some context. Now, imagine you're a content producer, maybe even a media outlet, and you're producing an interview. Now, this interview, you're using 3 cameras, and your interview goes great. It's a perfect interview. You send that footage over to your video editing software only to realize that maybe the first camera was a little delayed, out of sync, maybe 5 seconds. Why? Because it's impossible to synchronize, to start all 3 cameras at the same time. You don't have 3 hands, so you can't do that. Now, this is no problem. Since the inception of the video industry, we've seen these little clapping devices, and you clap really hard, and you could reference the syncing point based on the audio waveforms, and you could see a spike. And that's what video editors use in movies and whatnot. But we think this process is extremely inefficient and could be massively streamlined. And Jesus Scapo, our hardware engineer, is going to talk about how we're doing that.
Yeah, so originally our idea was to create a device that could sync up all the footage and audio through connected connections that you can see there on that box right there. Now that's bulky, that's big, and that costed $2,000. It can only connect up to 5 cameras. So yes, it solves the issue of the syncing, but it's very inefficient. So what we wanted to make was a device. You can see the device right here. This device is streamlined, it's portable. It basically anybody could use this device. And you can see that's the prototype up here. I mean, it's slightly larger than the one you see up there. That's our perspective prototype. That's what we're working on right now. That's gonna be our final model, which is much thinner. But essentially, all you need to do is you click this button. You have different modes, and then it'll essentially activate a system. See, and any cameras within the vicinity, about 360-degree radius, can detect those signals through LEDs and speaker system. And later on, when you upload the footage to our software, our proprietary software, it'll sync up the footage, no human intervention involved. And you heard, go to the next slide. Yeah. You can see up there, that's the LED module of the system. This is what's detected by our proprietary software. And then down there, you can actually see the speaker system. And then this speaker system, it has specific frequencies and patterns that are detected by our software, and it can relay metadata information. So scene information, production information, any type of information, like the clapboard right there, what you heard, that sound you heard on that system right there is the same exact information that's being relayed on that clapboard. So in there, up there, that's a button. They have access to the LED module on the top, and then that red button right there is a universal one-stop shop to all the functions of that device. So this device is essentially a replacement for that clapboard, and it revolutionizes syncing in the video industries and all industries that utilize video. So syncing, organization of footage, and transfer of metadata. This one device right here in such a small form factor can perform every single one of these functions and solve an issue that has been prevalent in the video industry for nearly 100 years. And it works for all cameras, security cameras, professional cameras, mobile cameras. So naturally, we allowed our software to work with all OSs. And if you don't want to use our software standalone, you can also utilize our software with your favorite types of video editors that you can see up there. So really, in order to make this system work, we had to have a variety of skill sets that we would utilize in order to create this revolutionary product.
As Jesus said, we have the skills. So our team, we leveraged our skill sets, Jesus on the hardware development side, myself, Chris, on the software development side, and Alex on the business side. So we utilize industry standard software such as Autodesk Inventor and AutoCAD, as well as leading edge software development tools like Qt, and this allowed us to do some rapid prototyping and auto research. Our latest prototype uses a 3D printed enclosure, and it's based around the Arduino Nano microcontroller. It uses cost-efficient components such as LEDs, a small battery, and just some wires. I'm going to let Alex tell you a little bit about the cost.
So as you could imagine, we're looking at such a simple product. We actually were able to get down to $10 per unit. This is our cost. And just to give you an idea, we're going to purchase or produce 500 units, and that's going to leave us at $5,000 initial investment for production. And just to give you an idea, if we sell that at just $30 price point per unit, that's a $15,000 revenue. Now, idealistically, we're going to look at ourselves probably investing probably $9,000 to $10,000 just for marketing, logistical stuff, and all that other stuff. Now, this arc right here, this is the law of diffusion of innovation. And this is kind of like talks about how, or this shows how products really maneuver or are distributed within our society. And as you can see here, we want to get our early adopters. We want to really push out our products to early adopters first so we can make that transition to early majority and the late majority people, and that's where the money is really made. Just to give you an idea, we're operating inside of a blue ocean market strategy, and if you're familiar with blue ocean, red ocean market strategy, blue ocean's a very innovative area where people are it's an uncontested market strategy, really, and that's where we're operating. I mean, there's not really a direct competitor with a product like this. It's very innovative in that sense. Now, we're going to get our product out to the early adopters by just giving it away for free, just maybe a few hundred units at least. And these people have a lot of influence and YouTube followers, so they have a lot of influence. Now, we're going to be on Amazon.com, eBay, our own website, and we're going to do all the marketings. We've done many products before, and we're going to use every level of marketing that we understand. And Chris here is going to talk a little bit about the timeline and how we're doing this all.
All right, so initially, right after the summit, we're going to open up pre-orders, finalize our design, and actually start up production. In October, we're going to ship out the initial prototype to our consumers for just so they could get it. I'll let Jesus cap off the production now.
Yeah, so because our product solves a direct pain point in every industry that utilizes video, we truly believe that this product will allow for efficient workflows all across the entire board of everybody who utilizes video in all industries, and allow people who work with video to focus on what truly matters. Thank you.
Thank you guys, that was great. So one of my questions is, what is this thing?
Yeah, I'll answer that. Okay, so essentially, we spawned this idea based after we talked with a few people in different businesses who utilized video and had this issue. So we created this device that you essentially connect all the cameras, but it has to reprocess the footage in order to sync it all. Basically, it does the syncing mechanism that we wanted and we desired, but it's very bulky, costs $2,000 because we needed to reprocess the footage. So it's pretty much like almost a computer entirely because it needed to reprocess footage. But then afterwards, we thought, hey, why are we doing this at this price point? We want to reach the mass markets, make it under $50. We got it to $30, well, $10 to produce. And that's where we came with this product, which essentially utilizes our software along with this small device in order to perform the same functions.
So that replaces that?
Yes, this right here replaces that. And then the picture you saw on the screen, that's our projected model for the size.
Okay. All right, thank you.
Thank you.
First of all, I would like to thank you all very much for having a product and holding it up. One of the frustrations down here has been that people have talked about the product, it's sat there, and no one has reached out, and you reached out. In fact, if I were you, I'd throw that thing right in front of you. So congratulations, well done, and a functional product as well. Question I have is a business one, however, and that is the market. Can you guys run it for me again in terms of who is the market here? Clearly, you'll have television, movies, whatever else at this point, or whoever else is doing film right now. But what else are we doing in terms of, well, what's the marketplace? What's the marketplace?
Yeah, sure. So as you can imagine, this integrates straight into every video editing software you're familiar with, Premiere Pro, Final Cut Pro, and typically any industry really that involves video. So big businesses that are big brands really that use multi-level camera production type of things that you see. So really, this could be applicable to almost every industry. And if you could look at marketing in general, I mean, video is pretty much leading marketing in terms of marketing in general. So yeah, this integrates straight into the software. Any video editor could use this. Any project-based that has multiple cameras, any big brand, any company, governments, perhaps even in the cybersecurity section where we could see, maybe even security cameras. This could all be implemented to all those industries. I mean, any industry really that uses multi-camera production.
I'd like to add something. At the end of the day, every industry utilizes video. I mean, right now we have a bunch of cameras recording us. As you noticed, when you actually clicked it and it beeped, those beeps, that was actually the metadata that is right here on this clapper, which is, today's date, the amount of cameras recording, things like that. So in essence, we kind of just synchronized all those cameras.
So that brings me to my question, is I'm an investor, and the first thing I want to know is the problem you're solving.
It's not necessarily a problem, it's an inefficiency. Because it's not a problem. They've used these clappers for decades. I mean, you've seen this since the inception of the video industry. So it's an inefficiency. We think it could be massively streamlined, because the data on here could be transferred through the frequencies very seamlessly and systematically. So we think it's not a problem, it's an inefficiency. And we're solving that inefficiency, making it automated, streamlined, efficient.
So your device replaces a clapper?
Yes, yeah, exactly.
And it integrates seamlessly into all video editing software, and you're not going to have your footage to not be synchronized.
Yeah, no, and another thing is that we were focusing on market research, and we found that a lot of video editors, and even when we were producing our video for Conrad, we had to utilize this as well, the syncing, and it takes, for larger companies, dozens of hours just to sync up the footage, because they have to have a person manually going to each one, syncing them up based on the information that's on the clapboard. So this basically automates the entire process, saves dozens of hours.
Yeah, editors shouldn't focus on that part. They should focus on the more important things. Mm-hmm.
So can I ask a similar question to what problem you're solving? So let's fast forward in the future where we have wireless connectivity between all these things and they're synchronized on a millisecond factor. Would there be someone who's on the set saying, it's a real pain that my Nikon system doesn't work with my Red system, doesn't work with my Canon system. I have this great invention. I'm going to just make a loud noise on set that all of them capture because they're all capturing audio to use as my way of synchronizing. So is the problem you're solving that it's hard to make a system like this that does the synchronization? Or is the reason why they're still using audio and clappers because that actually allows for something that doesn't require the integration that might come from a system?
The beauty of our product, it requires no integration. The integration doesn't exist. It's the software interprets it later on. So whatever camera, it could be an iPhone, an iPad, a Red, a Canon, a Nikon, whatever it is, it hears that signal because as a microphone, it sees the light, and you could use them interchangeably. And later on in our software, which integrates to Premiere Pro and any other video editing software, it interprets that and syncs it. So really, integration right now is not something that we're focusing on because we can't install software on every camera.
Okay, so you would argue that your innovation is that you're actually building an electronic clapper that actually encodes information in the audio that you can actually use later.
Yeah. And it actually has a lot of functionality. For example, we're going to be selling that for $30. This clapper costs $25.
Yeah, that only costs. And then essentially as well, we thought original idea was the syncing, but then we thought, the transfer of metadata. So the clapper has other information that's useful to the people as well. So even if you do like a clapping sound or really loud sound, that doesn't convey the information. Like sure, you could use that sound to sync, but it won't convey the director information or scene information or timestamp information or any other metadata. So we've actually integrated that, and you could use this on our software seamlessly, and it'll do it automatically.
So one little piece of advice, so sometimes it's helpful to stop talking because I want to give you guys some serious props here, and I'm being told that I can't ask a question. So, so first of all, I think this is a brilliant invention. This does solve a problem. It's a very narrow niche problem, but it is a problem. And anyone who's ever done any video editing knows that. And so I want to give you guys serious props for that. I do want to comment that there's still the integration problem because you say that you integrate with Premiere Pro. Your software still has to integrate with other software tools. And so just think about that issue.
What do you mean, like other video editing softwares?
Exactly, yeah.
Yeah, it does. Sony Vegas Pro, Final Cut Pro, and even Mac or Apple. I mean, Mac or Windows, whatever you like.
As well.
Yeah, we have all integrations. And that in the software side of it, not to the camera.
Right. Yeah, I get that.
Thank you.
You got her? Thanks, Alex.
Thank you, Verse. Our final team is a special guest from Australia, Team Speechability from St. Aidan's Anglican Girls' School. This was the inaugural year of the Australia Conrad Challenge. Team Speechability was the winning team, and as part of their award, they are joining us today. Please welcome Speechability.
Hi everyone, I'm Lily, this is Aish, and this is my little brother Maxie. Maxie is a beautiful boy who loves playing soccer, but society only sees him for his autism. Because of this, I can't help but worry about what my little brother's future will look like.
Maxie, like 72,000 Australians, has autism and consequently will have little chance in finding a job that they will love without the assistance of Speechability.
The unemployment rate for people with autism in Australia is 6 times the national unemployment rate. This means 24,000 people with autism are currently living on an inadequate income to cover their daily needs.
Our proposal is to provide people with autism the opportunity to apply for work, as well as allowing businesses to headhunt for employees. So, we are catering for both sides of the job finding equation. To do so, we utilise 3 platforms: a website, a database, and app.
These key features of Speechability are aimed at Australian English-speaking job seekers with autism and Brisbane businesses in the production and hospitality industry.
SADIE, Speechability's Autism Diverse Independent Employment Database's purpose is to store job seekers' resumes as well as store job ads that are uploaded by businesses. Businesses can also headhunt on SADIE by searching keywords or characteristics they want an employee to have. Location is also a filter option by using the user's zip code to find users that are in the general area of the business.
To do this, Google Maps will be outsourced from the database. SADIE has been generated by creating a Firebase real-time database.
The second platform of Speechability is a mobile application that is specialized to people with autism.
Upon signing up, job seekers will complete a quiz with questions crafted to identify a person's strength and interest. Answers will then be formed into a resume which will be uploaded to SADIE. Further, job ads will also be uploaded to Sadie. Job seekers can then apply for these jobs as their resumes will then be sent straight to the employer's email inbox.
We have created a functioning app using MIT App Inventor and have connected it to Firebase using a Firebase real-time URL. However, the past few weeks we have been working with a professional app team to get our app professionally developed.
Speechability's third application is our website. In the website, a business education page is featured to educate businesses on what a person with autism can bring to the workplace. However, the main purpose of the website is so businesses can access Sadie to search for future employees.
To protect job seekers' privacy and grant a business access to Sadie, a business must supply their Australian business number. By outsourcing to the government website, ABN Lookup, Speechability can deem whether a business is legitimate, and if so, grant them access to Sadie.
Speechability's prototype website has been created using Wix and is connected to Sadie via Firebase URL.
Another app that aims to do the same as Speechability is Working with Autism. Working with Autism provides people with ASD a structured approach to applying and searching for work. But what differentiates Speechability from Working with Autism is our accessibility and special features. When signing up to Working with Autism, a user must sign up on both the website and app to go between both the website and app. This can make it extremely difficult and is not very accessible.
To eliminate all that confusion, Sadie will be able to access both the website and app.
Working with autism is also extremely convoluted with text, which can make it difficult to understand for a person with autism. That is why Speechability puts a heavier reliance on images, so the job finding process is as comprehensible and accessible as possible for a person with autism.
Speechability has also noticed some external factors that could potentially affect both our app and website, such as the Australian Government Department of Social Services and the National Disability Insurance Scheme, the NDIS.
The Department of Social Services manages the employment of people with autism. That is why Speechability plans to contact this department regarding business incentives such as the wage subsidy scheme.
The NDIS is launched in Brisbane in June 2018. This will allow Speechability to claim any costs regarding a person with autism. The cost would then come out of the person's plan, which is funded by the NDIA, the National Disability Insurance Agency.
Now to Speechability's cost structure. When a user signs up to the app, an $100 payment must be made. However, this payment only needs to be made after a job is located by Speechability and has been worked in for 8 weeks. A similar process is applied to a business. Once an employee is located by Speechability and has worked for the business for an 8-week period to the satisfaction of the business, an $100 payment must also be made. However, these prices can be subject to change depending on the demand of the time.
Job ads will also appear across both the app and website to promote professional therapists and private healthcare insurance companies. This will create a source of income during the first few months of our launch.
We have also made contact with several companies such as Seek, Jobs Australia and NOUS for advice, support and possible partnerships and sponsorships.
Lastly, Speechability is promoted on a range of different platforms, including Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter, to create public interest when our app is launched on the App Store, Google Play, and Microsoft Store.
With independence, opportunities, and diversity, Speechability will ensure a bright future for Maxi and people with autism. Thank you.
Good. I was just mentioning I was a little choked up there a minute there, so I'm glad they didn't catch that. I love what you guys are doing. You know, the one thing is an investor point of view, I'm kind of curious about what's the revenue model and how that's going to be. It looks like you guys have some funding potentially from government sources, but have you guys explored a different way of looking at it instead of actually trying to get money to be able to fund it, be able to build something and then maybe pass it on to some type of insurance company or anything like that? I'd like to get your thoughts about how that's going, where that would be. Not everything has to be like, oh, we're going to make $1 billion on something. But here is something that's a novel idea that actually something can be crowdsourced or whatever, because people want to have something that's going to feel good. But again, to be able to pay the bills, to be able to develop that, to be able to get the databases and going, the coding and all that, there needs to be funding. So I'd like you guys to be able to talk a little bit more for me about that investing piece. With that, thank you very much for what you guys are doing. Bravo, bravo, bravo.
Thank you. So in terms of our cost structure and getting funding from investors, we can self-fund ourselves with the $100, and if we do have a high demand, then obviously we can up that price. But in terms of investors, we have actually gone and spoke with many people, many businesses that are in the employment industry, and they have said that they will fund us, such as NOUS, EBMC, and by going and partnering with these companies, we've also connected with the app team, like I said, who is now developing our app. Thank you. Thank you.
It's a really nice job solving. I love I love the way that you guys are solving a serious social problem. Quick question: so you said that you did a little prototype app in App Developer. So
MIT,
what did that actually do?
All right, so MIT App Inventor. That's basically where you can build a functioning app for an Android by using blocks to connect code. So we actually were in a previous competition where we had to make a functioning app, and so I created the app, and it did function very well. And so when we went to go see the app developers, we could show them what we had done, and we're using that. But yeah, it's using blocks to code and put together, which is obviously a lot easier than having to write lines of code.
So I think this is a great topic area. Have you met the team that's trying to work with homeless in a very similar
We go to the same school.
Because I think they need a coder, and
Yeah.
you might actually have the way to build that. And to that question, there's probably many follow-ons to this, from autism to other areas where you have specific people with specific needs. Have you thought at all about the future potential for using it beyond autism?
Yeah, definitely. So right now we're actually targeting high-functioning autism, and we'd want to expand it to the full spectrum. But then we also want to expand it to like dyslexia,
Processing disorders and sensory disorders. Anyone who struggles to find a job with the interviewing and they can't seem to break the barrier, we want to make it a lot easier and more accessible.
Yeah, and also then exploring into different disabilities like physical disabilities and other disabilities as well. But yeah, definitely.
Great.
I don't have a question. I'm almost speechless. I think it was a great job. I
Thank
can't
you.
I mean, I'm just wowed by this concept overall, so
Thank you so
congratulations.
much. Thank you.
Where do you guys keep thinking of this stuff? When I was your age, I could barely put a light socket in. Can you go through a little bit in terms of how you would rework the software? Obviously, there's a band of autism here. I have friends whose children are autistic, but it ranges all over the place. Can you talk a little bit about how you are adapting software? Are you looking at the most extreme example first, and then moving back from there? Just a little bit in terms of the range of the product itself.
Yeah, so like I'm adapting it for different stages and places on the spectrum. Okay, yeah. So for high-functioning people with autism, they are verbal, and so they can talk to people, and most people with autism can use technology. So they can use the app. So as we're targeting high-functioning people with autism, they will be able to do that face-to-face talking with interviewers. However, it's extremely intimidating. And so what we're doing to then counteract that, including in the software, is a chat page where they can actually text message the employers and can also email them. Another thing, even if we were targeting at low-functioning autism, we do, like I said, put a heavier reliance on images, because images are just, like the saying goes, images can convey 1,000 words. So even when they're doing the quiz, they can select pictures that display their interests, and also can select pictures that represent jobs and different jobs, because they're people. They see what's going on in the world. They know what's going on. They just need a way to communicate it.
I just want to say that what kept running through my mind is partnerships, because with this population you're trying to reach, it's not the creation of the software that's the problem. It's the assistive technology piece of how they can access the technology. So partnerships with assistive technology companies could move your project further quicker. instead of trying to build partnering. And then the same with the funding of it, because basically you're creating a recruiting tool for people with autism, and it's a large market, and partnerships could get you further quicker.
Yeah, definitely.
That's a great idea.
Yeah, thank you for your advice.
Thank you, ladies, and thanks to all of our finalist teams in the cyber technology and security category. You presented some truly dynamic concepts and should be very proud of your accomplishments. The judges will confer and winners will be announced at the awards ceremony taking place Saturday afternoon. With that, we have a bit of a break for about 10 minutes, and we ask that you be back in the room in about 10 minutes so we can get started with our cosmic chat.